Kin, kin, yes, kintsugi. Kintsugi, it says a broken pot fixed with gold. It's a Japanese art form where broken pottery is repaired using lacquered wood, lacquered mixed with gold powder. So in other words, they're taking something that's broken and repairing it in an even more beautiful form than what it was before. Pardon? No. And then next is it's called nozomi, which is means hope in Japanese. This is from nozoni, nozomi, nozomi. It comes from the, if you recall, the earthquake and tsunami off the coast of Japan in 2011. I remember I was up late one night and it was on the news live, and I watched the horror of that tsunami coming in and destroying everything. It broke a lot of pottery, and so there was a ministry formed to take the broken pottery and make something beautiful out of it, which is again the idea of taking a tragedy and making it into something positive, something out of it into positive. So, oh, really? After the earthquake. So don't say that too loud because we live in an earthquake zone. I don't know. That's San Andreas fault. So you see the idea of that too. Next, we have an example of how the Zulu in South Africa have taken things that are available to them, and in particular case, telephone wire, different colored telephone wire, copper wire with the insulation on it, and make it into something beautiful. And this is something that they do, and I've seen other pictures of other ones like that, and it's amazing the beauty that they get and the amount of work. I think we were talking about how that well, let's see. Has anybody ever made tamales from scratch? No? Well, one of the things that you do is you sit around, you take the masa and you put it in the corn husks, and then you add things to it. But you do it in a group. You all sit around and you talk while you do it. That's what they do when they make these. They sit around and they have all the wire and they start putting these together and make beauty out of something that's so simple. Another one here I've got. I'm working our Vanna. It's heavy. This is pottery, but it's made in a special way. It's called crackle pottery. And what they do is they make a piece of pottery and then they let it start to fix, and they put the paint on it or however they want to do it, the glaze. And then what they do is they put something called sodium silicate on it, let that dry. After it dries, then they stick their hand down inside and they start pressing the clay outward, and it causes that to crack. Then they glaze it and run it through the oven, and you have this beautiful thing. My wife, Nancy, when I first brought that home from the thrift store, she said, it looks like some kind of skin disease, but which in a way it does. Yeah, this too right here is another example. This is crackle glass. We've shown you that before. What they do is they blow the pot or the bowl or the vase or whatever it is, and while it's still hot, they stick it in cold water. It causes it to crack. Then they take it out and they heat it up again, and that causes the cracks to come back together, but leaving the pattern. So again, it's taking something that's not really attractive and then making it into art. And let's see. Oh, yeah, this right here. Anybody remembers Mount St. Helens when it erupted? We all do, yes, definitely. It was on Sunday morning, if I recall correctly. Well, what people have done, and we've had another sample of this in the past, they've taken the volcanic dust and mixed it with, in this case, with glass. And then in another case, I think we had a piece of pottery that was made from it too. They take that and they make it into beautiful glass. Somebody who would like to carry that? Yep, that one right there. You want to do it? Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you can see how they've taken that volcanic powder and they made it into a blown glass ornament, but the beauty of it, the color and texture and everything else in it, makes it something really attractive. Right. You want me to do this? Or you want to do it? Okay. This is another example. This was originally a piece of bamboo, a large piece of bamboo. And what they did was they made it into what's called a brush pot. That's where the artist will put the brushes into the pot while they're using them. And they've carved it on the side. They have the 9 immortals from Chinese culture carved on the sides. And then it's made, they have put carved legs on it, again, from one piece of bamboo. And so you have this incredible, somebody like to, anybody want to carry it around, or I can walk around? Pardon? I don't know if they actually put any paint on it. It's probably got a lot of ink on it from the artwork, but that's an example of, yeah, highly carved, very, very detailed. Yeah, so it's beauty. It's a beauty. What they've done is just a piece of bamboo. I used to play in bamboo patches in the valley when I was a kid. And I think, are you on? Did we cover everything? I think so. It's time for you. Any questions? Not everything here. Some things are. Some of them, Georgia and I brought from our own. Yeah, for illustration.
One for sure that's not for sale. No.
Where's Kaz? Kaz? Kaz is going to show us something really interesting about silk.
We talk about recycling things. The outfit that I have on was a kimono originally, and this was originally a kimono, and then it was recut and mass fashioned into a jacket, a coat. So it's westernized. It has sleeves. It doesn't have the kimono, but it's been westernized, and I happened to wear it 35 years ago for my son's wedding. It was my mother of the bride dress, and but I didn't make it. I didn't make it. I bought it, but I thought it was so cleverly done that something could be recycled, because to wear a kimono is a lot of work, with the obi and everything. This is just a jacket, and I just thought they did a beautiful job. But speaking of silk, when I was teaching, sure, I'm sorry. Yes.
Here, we'll let you touch this one as we come around.
Yes. And that's printed on silk. Yes. Excuse me. When I was teaching school, I raised silkworms in my classroom. Yes. And that's all hand done.
So you'll
Just
be able
beautiful.
to feel what it's like. And when you say, why do I have to spend so much for silk? You'll see. It's amazing. And this is yes, silk.
Yes. The one I'm going to share with you is silk from Japan, or my classroom. And just as they're showing you that, the silk is, they're eggs, and then they form into cocoons, and these are the cocoons. These cocoons are then put in hot water or sometimes in the oven, and then from there, you'll see a chart over there that shows you the process. After the cocoons are heated, then they take one strand out of this. It's amazing how it happens. You shake it in the water, and one strand comes up, and that's what you keep winding. This is the, okay, I'll do that too. And what I had the children do in my classes, they unwound it. And this is what it looks like. And because it's a triangular thread, it has a wonderful luster to it. It isn't just shiny. There's a luster to silk, and that's what makes it so wonderful. It comes in white. It also comes in yellow, but silk also takes dye very well. One of my children in the classroom took felt pen, and she took all hers and she just put felt on there, but it takes dye beautifully. That's why when you see silk fabrics, they have beautiful color because it takes dye so well. Again, other samples, if you want to pass this around, this is a sample of silk.
And this one up here, too, right?
Yes, now that's a sample of silk. It's been printed. This is just a plain, just a plain blouse, but because of the triangular threads, it has a luster to it. It's not just shiny. There's a nice luster to it. Okay. This happens to be the dress that goes under this. Okay. But there are other things that are done with it. After the cocoons, we call it tacking silk. You take the silk, and as you're taking the silkworms apart, you get this extra fluff. This is what your futon has. Futon is a blanket a mat that's used on the floor. They're stuffed with this, and it makes it very soft. You can use it for pillows on your sofa. And as the children and I took these the cocoons apart, this is what we came up with. I never made a cushion. I don't know why, but it'll last forever. And when it flattens, you just puff it up. It's a natural fiber, but the silk works out very well here. If you look at that chart over there, they end up, after you wind the silk like this, and it goes through the machine, and it's a fast process. You end up with thread, and you take that thread and you wind it, and so that you come up with skeins. It's like yarn. You put the yarn in a skein. You do the same thing with the silk, and then you can put it on a loom and wind it. This happens to be a coarse one. You can get very, very fine silk. What the children did in this one is fine silk. So you would put 2, 3, 4, 5 strands together to get something sturdy enough. If you just use the one strand, it would be too thin, but it gets bigger. Now, but you can also do other things with the silk. If you want to be playful, you can make decorations. This is all colored. Some of it is dyed, some of it is natural, but all from silk. Yes, this is cocoon. This is not the silk, it's the cocoon before it's made in. And you might lily of the valley. You can do anything you want just to be creative. And let's see, where's the other one?
Let's have lunch.
Oh, yes. Now, in some countries, after the cocoons have been, boiled, then you have the silkworm inside. The silkworm has not reached the point where it can get out of the silkworm. This is before. So you still have the silkworm inside. Well, some cultures eat this. So, and this came from a Korean market, but you can eat them. I tried it. Not so good, but culturally, that's okay. No, I don't serve it. So when you come to my house, I'm not going to serve it. Yes, but they use every part. In all parts of the world, they use everything, and this is using all the silk, the inside, outside, leftovers. My children loved it. I never had enough silk left over to make anything because they wanted to take it home to their families, or I would send cocoons home with them, and the whole family would unwind things. Yes. Again, if you want to just show this around, you're welcome to, but just to see
You're talking about your children. They were school children, right? Public school children? Yes. Could you tell us what classes and why you were teaching?
Right. I taught 5th and 6th grade. 5th grade was American government or the United States. In the South, there are lots of mulberry trees because King George wanted the colonists to raise silk. But it was a time-consuming effort. The weather conditions weren't as good. So although the silk industry never took off in the United States, but we have lots of mulberry trees, and they're tall. If you go through the South, you'll see them. Now, silkworms only eat primarily white mulberries. So although there are 5, 6 kinds of mulberry trees, red, black, etc., the white mulberry is what the silkworms like to eat. Now, as I was trying to raise silk, I didn't have the trees, so I asked the PTA to plant some trees. Now these trees are 2 stories high. Yes, because they're fast growing. when I went to China to visit, I saw tall mulberry trees in because in central China they still raise silkworms, right? It's like their cotton fields. Their cotton fields are smaller, but they're all over the place. Yeah, but I'm going to say about oh gosh, I forgot. Oh, the mulberry trees, but they okay, good. Oh, right. You can make a lot of people made pictures out of the silk because it dyes well and they're just beautiful. Yes, but succinctly, that's it. Thank you.
Let's hear it for cause. Whoa. Did you know all that? I didn't know. The worm that spins it. Yeah, just like any cocoon does. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a live worm. And then, I'm sorry, they have to boil it to get it out. And so they have to kill it. I'm sorry. They do keep a number of them alive. So it's for the next ones. But, yep. Did you take some out of that bag? Oh, good. I see him shaking them to death up here. No. It's like jumping beans, eh? Now we're going to kind of switch. Oh, sorry. Oh,
He asked me what happens if you let the moth, the silkworm go through the whole cycle. We would take the best, biggest ones, set them aside, and then they would hatch. So I would have
a fresh batch.
yes, aquariums ready so that they could climb up and they would make their own cocoons, and that would be the next generation. Because you always have to prepare for the next generation, but we would be particular about which ones we chose,
Yes.
and the others we would unwind. The ones that were so the next right now is the time they're being raised, March, April,
Yeah.
and so the classroom would be busy. And every day we would go out and get mulberry leaves, and the black garbage bag. I used a bag a day because big ones because we fed maybe 1,000 silkworms in our class, and so it was a project. And you asked me about when. Fifth grade was colonial America, but sixth grade was world history, and I taught both grades. World history, Silk Road was very influential across all of China, and Cleopatra wanted silk. They were willing to pay a fortune for it, but because no one knew the secret of how silk was made. So
They had to go to China.
oh yeah, no, they didn't. There's some Nestorian monks who got them in, put them in their staff, so the eggs and the leaves, and then it left China. Yes,
Oh.
and also
Oh, she's
no,
not done yet.
oh no, I didn't want to go on, but it go. The Koreans had it first, and then from Korea it went to Japan. And today Japan is one of the biggest producers of silk, but also France. England, Queen Elizabeth's wedding gown was made from the silk that was raised in England. So, silk
Yes.
has a lot to do in the
A
culture.
history.
Yeah, it's
Whoa, whoa. Clap again, okay? Now we're going to change country view, okay? Dan has been in Papua New Guinea for over 50 years. You know that. And then I got to go several times. Well, what I found out was in Papua New Guinea, the women, especially this bilum, can you hold it up, stretch it out a bit? See how it's stretchy? Bilum, the PNG pidgin word means womb. So the mother carried the baby in her womb. And then they made, just one of the bilums at a time, made a bilum. And what they do is they strip the bark off the tree, and then they beat it and beat it and beat it and beat it and make it really soft. And then they tear it apart, and the fibers get really, really soft. And they're only like pieces about 6 inches long. And they take them, the women, put them together and start spinning it. They spin it on their knee until it becomes this long thread, and they spin it some more and it's this long thread. That right there is fiber from the tree, and they use it mostly for the babies. But these ones, you can get a big one for a man that brings home the garden stuff, or you can get them for little kids. The big ones are, to me, they're the most precious. Papua New Guinea.
How did they strap the baby inside? How did
Okay. They never wore the baby except when it was sleeping, and then they would. Let me see. I'll do it on this one. They would put a blanket in there, a really soft pad in there, and they would put the baby in on his back, and then they would take this on their head like this, and see how it naturally goes down your back. And when they were working, and I checked this on the women, they had a ridge on their head where they carried that all the time, because sometimes it's not just the baby, but cow and sweet potatoes and really heavy stuff, firewood, stuff like that. But as she chose that one, that's the one I like because historically that's true. Throughout the whole country, the fiber billum. Well, then we came along, right? And we brought this wool, and they loved the colors because that's hard to color. You can get black and red on there, but it's hard. So then they started with the wool. Let me see. I had a thing of wool. It's not very strong. You can break our wool, right? Even though it's about 3 or 4 strands. Where's Elizabeth? She's still here. How many strands are in your wool? 3 or 4. So what they do, I'm watching them. They're helping me learn how to do this. They take it and they'll put several lengths of wool together. And what do? They spin it on their bare leg and they pull it up and it gets stronger and stronger. So when you see this is really strong, this will not break. And the same thing, they used it a little more classy for the baby. And when they hang it up, and all the churches are open air kind of. So if they have windows, which they can close if a storm comes, but usually they'll have nails up along the windows and they hang these on there, and the baby just swings and coos and, just hardly ever cries. All the church time they're there, I was amazed with that. Well, then progress is still happening, right? So we went from that one, and you can pass this around if you want. We went from the fiber to the wool. Can you imagine what this is? Plastic. They had to have something they could get a hold of. So you know how the Zulu took the telephone wire? They took the plastic bags, have. But you'll see that they made fiber, and how did they put it together? Roll it on their knees, and this hurts the knees, I think. And I don't think these are near as pretty, but they sell like crazy. So that's a whole progression of craft survival in Papua New Guinea. That one there, if you take the big one around. Dan, did they make these bigger than this? Did you see any? He just brought these back now from his trip last month. So, well, they put the blanket in it, and it's soft around it, and the air will come through. It's just amazing. So now let me see. Any questions? I got to see what all I got here yet. Yeah, you have any idea what this is? Anybody? I'm going to tell you the story, but it's such a beautiful story, and it's a little long that I wanted you to see a video of it. And so Sean is going to hit it, trigger it up, and hopefully it's going to show, okay? Celadon pewter.
By its jade green color and beautiful curves, was at the peak of its popularity. With the development of techniques, inlaid celadon was born. Inlaid celadon is made by engraving pictures on the surface, rubbing white or black clay on top of the engravings, and then firing it again after coating it with glaze. Inlaid celadon became popular overseas, and Korea was able to produce beautiful and creative celadon renowned throughout the world. At the beginning of the 15th century, the porcelains that thrived were white porcelain and grayish-blue powdered celadon that originated from the Goryeo dynasty. Grayish-blue powdered celadon is powdered with white clay, and a grayish-blue glaze is applied. It is characterized by its folksy and plain appearance. Joseon white porcelain developed into many different styles of porcelains, such as the pure white porcelain and the white porcelain with blue artwork or steel artwork. The rich culture of white porcelain was able to flourish because there were hundreds of porcelain kilns all over the country. After the mid-15th century, the manufacturing of white porcelain with blue artwork grew considerably. It represented the style and elegance of Joseon white porcelain by radiating warmth and softness from its pure white color and graceful shapes. During the country's modernization, Korea
Okay, they're going to get into a whole bunch of sales pitch. Oh, they're going to get into oh, look, I lost it. Into a sales pitch now, so we'll cut it off. So, Mike, what do you think? Should we ask questions? Have them ask questions? Yeah. When you leave, we'll probably finish early tonight, but when you leave, there's a bowl there and it's got $5 coupons in it. Can you buy them for $6? We'll sell them for $6. No. Anybody who wants one can take one, and they're good until May 1st at the Treasure House. Okay? Oh, yeah. What do they look like again? I thought I left one laying here. Did I? No. Anyway, they're kind of little like a credit card. Oh, that's how little they are right there. Oh. Okay. Bertha wants me to talk about this one. You know, at the Treasure House, we get all sorts of things, right? So both sides. Yeah. We get all sorts of things. We get jewelry. And so in this, you'll see some of that. What's it called? What kind of jewelry is that? You know? No, yeah, but what kind? Swarovski. And the orange is Swarovski. And I had somebody here give me these necklaces and those plates, and nobody wanted to buy those plates. And I couldn't understand it. There were like 6 of them. And we've got some more over there. So I thought, I can make a sun catcher. So I took the Swarovski, that's a whole necklace around there, and put the orange on it. And if you look from one side, it's gorgeous, right? But look from the other side. It's just 2 different things. So people look at it, but nobody wants to buy it. Does anybody want it? I'm serious. Does anybody want it tonight? Bertha wants it. She can have it. What? No, it's a gift. It's yours. First one. Some people look at it, but nobody has really wanted it. And I thought it's so beautiful. I hung it in my window for a while. Oh, the sun comes through. It's so gorgeous. But yeah, it's a nice piece. I can talk her into anything, right? So, where's Mike? Questions? No. Nancy has a mic, and Mike will take a mic too. I lost.
I was just wondering, what is the most unique and expensive item or treasure that you've come across in your time of working in the treasure house? Stratus violin or something?
Stradivarius. No, we have an oil painting over there that is probably worth $2,000 to $3,000. And we've had some other things that come through. We've had one of them is glass, crystal. Baccarat is a brand of crystal. Also, we have one that's made by St. Louis of France. It's the oldest crystal maker still working in Europe, actually. And several other things. A lot of Waterford. Waterford used to make. Oh, sorry. Yeah. You want the clown show? Don't get me started. Anyway, Waterford is in Ireland, but they now contract out to Poland. Poland has been creating better and better crystal, and so they're using them for a lot of their crystal now. But some of that can get very expensive. We have a couple of pieces over there that would go for a pretty good price, but we like to keep our prices as low as we can. Kind of like a little above thrift store, about a thrift store, wouldn't you say? Which one? That was, yeah. There's in Sweden. There's several companies in Sweden. One of them is Orifers, and Orifers is a really high quality crystal, and they make all kinds of things: turtles, bowls, all kinds. In fact, I picked up a piece a couple of days ago. So there's different brands, different things. Ceramic, we have some ceramic over there that's pretty old, and the older the ceramic, the better the value goes up. Yeah.
Okay. My question is, when you're talking about the different brands of crystal, and I know you see little tags that say percentage or something. Can you kind of explain their?
Yeah, what makes crystal? Crystal is where you take regular glass, you melt it down, and you add 24% lead oxide, which, when you really think about it, this has always bothered me. You're taking a metal oxide, mixing it with glass, and it gets clearer. It doesn't get more opaque. It gets crystal clear. And it also, that's one of the reasons why it's so heavy, because the lead in the glass makes it very heavy. One of the things we've had people ask about, well, can I, put wine or whatever in and drink it? It's not advisable if you want to present it at a dinner table with wine in it and a decanter. That's fine, but I wouldn't leave it in there a long time, because it can leach some of that lead out. And some of the theories of why so many Roman emperors were so nutty was because they were drinking out of sometimes lead containers, lead cups, and so on. So, yeah.
Mike, something that I found fascinating was that tall pottery from Mexico. Oh, still closer. Thank you. Ah, that tall. And how what I found fascinating was how you found the authenticity of it by putting a mirror under the jacket.
Right.
Do you want to tell anything about that without
Yeah, we were trying
revealing?
to. There was when it was brought in, there was no identification on it. Who did it? And what? Now the person that owns it has a good history on it. However, when we decided there's got to be something somewhere, and so we Georgia brought a mirror. We've had a mirror, and we went underneath and we saw it and said, okay, but what is it saying? We forgot. I did. Right. So we thought it was a different language. So then we took a mirror. We took a mirror and then we held it up to the photo, and then we could read it right. Yeah. So hidden underneath. Well, yeah, it was under on the base. A lot of times, like for example, there's a mark on the bottom, and that's the maker's mark. And the problem a lot of times is when you have artists that are doing it, they'll mark in pen or something like that. They'll cut a little signature. And somebody asked me about that online because I have an eBay store. We have an eBay store, and so they were saying, "How do you know who it is?" And I said, "Well, I thought about, since you can't read it, take it to a pharmacist, because a pharmacist has to learn how to read prescriptions from doctors, so they can probably figure it out from anything." They actually have when we were in business a long time ago with the pharmacist, and he actually got these journals every month, and they would actually have on the back page on the inside a prescription and said, "Read this." So they practiced by, and that's why all pharmacists wear glasses after a while. So, yeah. Any other questions?
Do you have any examples of quilling?
Quilling? Oh, we haven't really gotten.
I should bring some over. I have a
Sure.
framed one, and I have quilling cards also.
Mhm.
It's an art form that was made by the monks and well, a lot of the people that didn't. They're made with strips of paper and they're wound.
Yeah, we do have. It's made out of. Is that made out of wood though? It's shaved wood. Right. Same style, kind of style, but it's like that. What you're talking about, yeah. Oh,
Is that on now? Yes.
How did you learn all this?
when I was a little boy, I don't know if you remember back in the 1950s when you went to a supermarket and you bought so much groceries, you could get, in this case, it was the World Book Encyclopedia, one volume a week. And so they bring them home, and they taught me how to read early, so I would sit there and read all of this stuff. So I don't know how many neurons are wrapped around crazy stuff in there, but most of it is because we research it. One of the neat things about, I think we showed here once before, you can take a smartphone with certain applications, and it will tell you, and I've done that. I did that today on a couple of things. You take a picture of it and it'll come up with what it is or ideas about what it might be. And there's different websites you can go to. So I do a lot of that, but also YouTube has a lot of YouTubers that show different things. In fact, if you like Murano glass from Murano, Italy, there's several YouTubers videos that show them actually making the glass in Murano, on the island of Murano in Venice, and it's fascinating to watch that and see how they do it. It's super hot glass, and all the different colors and how they pattern it and put it all together into some beautiful piece of art. So
And one thing you need to know about Mike is he's available to come to your home and tell you the value of stuff. You know, what's her name? Nini. She has a whole collection of paperweights,
Yep.
glass paperweights. I mean, it is gorgeous, her collection.
Right.
So she invited Mike to come over and tell her some of the value.
Yeah.
So he's available to do that.
not just paperweights.
No, not just paperweights.
What?
But he doesn't charge. That's
No,
the-
no, there's no charge to do
that's
it.
the great thing. He
No,
wants
because
you
it helps me to learn more. That's one of the ways you got to keep the noodle going. You never stop learning. So any other questions? We got 5 minutes.
And you got, let me go see the training. You got time to look and you got time to ask questions.
Yeah.
I don't think
Because of it.
it's not supposed to.
You trust the weatherman? Oh, you got 5 more minutes. Anybody have any questions? No, we can sometimes break things, but no, we don't repair. we we don't repair. We give you some ideas, but no, we don't have. I think the jewelry shop does some repairs. Pardon? No, we didn't do that. No, that came that way. I don't have enough gold.
But Mike did bring remember that bowl from Arizona? From the Hopi or
Oh,
Navajo or someplace like that? And it's made out of this beautiful red clay and it's all painted. But there was a chip in the top, right in the top rim. And nobody would buy it. He gave it to me. So I went and found out how to use polymer clay and mixed it up and put it on there and put it in the oven and baked it. And you can tell a little bit if you knew it, but if you didn't know it, it's like brand new. He fixes stuff.
Well, we can do a few things. One of the things that archaeology was one of my loves, and we're just watching something recently where they showed how they took these ancient pots from in Israel from 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, and get all the pieces together and glue them together back the way that they were, and you can see the beauty of the pottery and so on. And they did it on the island of Crete with Knossos, the 1400 BC, that empire that was destroyed by a volcano exploding. But yeah, I mean, we don't glue things back together again, but we can show you. We have glue there. We can provide it. We'll give you a table. You can do it yourself. Any other questions? I think we're done.
She wants it. Kathy wants some.
All right. Thank you all. Mike and Georgia and Debbie and where are you? Nancy. Okay. We appreciate it. And I forgot when I was introducing Georgia, we've always called her the best sales lady in Alhambra. And if you've been in there, you'll know why she's called that. Okay. And now you've got your discount cards for how much? $5. It's only good for a short time, May something. So come over. We're open. Huh? Okay. So we're open tomorrow and on Thursday. We're open 3 days a week, 10 o'clock until noon. What? Okay. And we also take donations. If you would like, if you're trying to clear out your units and you've got all this stuff, we have all of these beautiful things. A lot of our stuff comes from Kaz. She and Ted had to consolidate when they married. And so we're getting a lot of her stuff. Are we getting some of Ted's? Oh, he brought the beautiful lambs. Oh, and the pictures. Yes. Yes. So we take a lot of donations. We got beautiful donations. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate your attendance. So thank you all. Good night.